Welcome to the Microsoft Partner Innovation Vodcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Zarate. When we think about life before the pandemic, it looks a lot different than it does now. Like Satya Nadella said in 2020, Microsoft witnessed nearly 2 years of digital transformation in the 2 months following the start of the pandemic, and that same premise applies for many of our partners as well. Today, I'm joined by Casey McGee, Microsoft Vice President of Global ISV Sales, and Alex Atzberger, CEO of Optimizely. Casey, Alex, great to have you both here for this episode of the MPI Vodcast. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having us, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Now, as we continue to solve for a digital-first future, we look to partners who are innovating in new and exciting ways and see how we can support them in those journeys to help them add value into their solutions. Which is why we're happy to have Alex joining us. Optimizely is an industry leader in managing and optimizing the digital customer experience. And they do this through their approach of unlocking your digital potential by using digital, data-driven insights and tools to transform companies. So Alex, I'd love to start off by hearing more in your own words on the work that Optimizely is doing and hear how you're communicating what it means for companies to unlock their digital potential.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jennifer, and it's great to be here together with you and Casey. Thanks so much for having me. Jennifer, when we think about unlocking digital potential, we believe as a company that any company has an opportunity to grow their business through their digital channels. We also have a core principle that we believe that a great customer experience, and especially a great digital customer experience, starts with great content. You want to be able to create and optimize continuously, what content your customers want to see so that you can really convert them into buying customers and raving fans. And we believe that as a company, you want to continuously adapt to the way your customer actually wants to engage with your brand. And that's the technology we provide so that marketers and product leaders can actually create these digital experiences that are adaptive to the needs of the customer. And the numbers show that it works. We look in our customer base, we actually queried over 500 of our customers, and they typically see a revenue uplift of at least 8% in terms of their revenue, but also see a high ROI on our platform that runs on Microsoft Azure of over 300% in terms of the return on investments in our platform. So there's tremendous value for companies to be able to provide a better digital experience.
Yeah, Alex, I have to say, one of the things that we all learned 2 years ago is just how quickly we shifted from physical experiences to digital experiences. The one thing we could not have predicted is here we are 2 years later, and in many cases we're still very much in that digital world. And so I love the stories that you've shared with me about the work that you've done with StubHub, with Brooks Running. Me personally, I've actually been in scenarios where I'm only interacting with brands digitally. And so the work that you've done has improved that dramatically. And I think we all know now we expected this snap back to the way it was before the pandemic. I think we're all learning that customers now have a shifted sense for how they want to interact with us. And so the fact that you've really done this work to optimize the digital experience for your customers and for your customers' customers is just, it's inspiring.
And it sounds like there's a lot of benefit to putting the customer first, not only in the traditional sense, but helping reimagine the future of customer experience, lives, and what's relevant in the moment. So what are a few key trends or even misconceptions you've noticed on the importance of companies shifting their focus onto the customer experience?
Jennifer, from my side, what I've seen a lot in our customer base is one of the core trends is obviously that the digital experience is getting a lot more sophisticated. Meaning today, the way I would actually think about a digital experience, it's like developing a product. So companies that are continuously to digitally transform need to bring a product mindset to how they actually develop and create digital experiences. It's marketers, it's product, it's developers all coming together, being a lot more agile, being a lot more responsive. And again, it makes a difference between winning or losing in the marketplace in terms of how well you understand your customer and can adapt to your customer. And that's really where, again, you need to take a product mindset, a continuously learning mindset when you actually want to create those digital experiences. And then I think a misconception that I oftentimes see is that, the word digital experience by itself is a tech terminology, but ultimately it's still about the website. The website still is an enormously important asset for companies. And if you only treat it like as a window into your brand, you're actually doing a disservice to your business, because it can be so much more in terms of being a demand generation engine, a place where you can conduct obviously business, a place where you can create new revenue for your company. And so being able to really understand the asset that you have in terms of your own website. And I think there's so many companies, both on B2C and B2B and in different industries, where there's still so much untapped potential to actually improve your website experience. And we believe there's enormous room for companies to do better.
Yeah, that's right, Alex. Actually, one of the things that I appreciate so deeply about the work that Optimizely does is your proximity to customers. In fact, I'd put that as the kind of the number one appeal for this Microsoft partnership is you're so close to understanding what these customers need and what they want and driving better outcomes with those customers. It's a natural fit for us. And so I have to say, as we think about our own journey and the work that we do to transform customers, we can only do that with and through companies like Optimizely. So we deeply appreciate the work that you're doing there.
And right now, we're seeing a dramatic shift towards e-commerce, given the effect of the pandemic has had on people's ability and willingness to go out for their products. Optimizely has a wide range of Fortune 500 customers using their product across a unique distribution of industries. So, Alex, obviously, customer experience affects every industry. What do you think is the value proposition for folks who have yet to decide whether or not this is valuable to their business?
Jennifer, it's hard for me to believe that there's people out there that still have to decide if it's valuable for their business. But I tell you, Jennifer, it definitely obviously moves different by industry. Yeah, and I think the industry dimension is very, very important also in CX and digital experience. And by the way, I think customer experience and digital experience are increasingly synonymous in terms of how customers actually think about it. But what's interesting is that we see industries that have been generally sometimes very slow to change really move actually at a much, much faster pace. I give you two examples. One is with a very large, well-known auction house. Auction houses have been around for literally centuries at this point. And they didn't have much need to really change and adapt digital. Obviously, COVID happened. Suddenly you wanted to do auctions online. And then the next move happened with NFTs, and you need to continue to evolve your business model. And so we are working with them together to really, for instance, digitally transform their business. Or you take a company in the camera space, which again is under the pressure of mobile phones being able to provide cameras together. It's a recent customer, Microsoft and Optimizely together won in Europe, and that customer, for instance, wants to much better understand the sub-segments of the photography space to actually go direct to consumer, for instance, with their services. So again, I think the value is really there. It's really for companies to say, like, look, who do I partner with to actually unlock this value? And we feel fantastic about our relationship with Microsoft because a lot of companies want to go with partners that they know, that they trust their business within already in other parts of the company, and to say, like, look, how can we work together with you and with Microsoft to really transform our business? But the value is sometimes it's not just value, it's really the only way to survive.
I have to say this comment you just made, Alex, the reality of how quickly the expectations are changing is actually quite humbling. I think years ago we would have marveled at a company's ability to transform within months or years. The expectation now, and really the value that your software delivers, is really within minutes and hours you can learn something about a preference that a customer has on experience A versus experience B. And so right now in this kind of world that we're in today, that speed and agility is just so critical. And so I couple that experience, the customer experience, with the operational benefit associated making some of these decisions. And this is the thing that I'm also so fascinated by, is that the decisions you're helping companies make both improve the customer experience and the efficiency that the provider is actually experiencing as a result of that. And so it's really top line, bottom line benefit.
Talk about great teamwork, right? And on that note, Casey and Alex, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how companies can start integrating a customer experience-based model and the various ways that can translate into businesses. What are your recommendations on how people can get started?
Yeah, this is a big question, obviously, in terms of really, there's so many efforts inside companies to get there, but I think it starts, honestly, a lot of it starts with culture. And it's actually something that I think really connects Optimizely and Microsoft. You know, when I think about what I at least know and hear about Microsoft is really Satya came in with this growth mindset philosophy. And I think you need a growth mindset when it comes to digital because you're never going to be done. You're going to continuously learn. And one of the things at Optimizely that we really believe in is the notion of there's no failure, there's only learning. You need to learn very, very quickly. And so getting started means for me, you know, that you try out things, that you obviously make it a priority for your leadership team to really understand where are our digital efforts, that you measure your progress, that you set baselines and then see how do we actually improve in terms of our ability to understand our customer, convert it into demand. But ultimately, it has to start really with a company setting a priority around this being a growth engine for the company. And every CEO I speak to, they want to be driving growth through their digital channel while being operationally efficient in terms of how they obviously do this. But I think for every CEO, for every CMO, that is a top 3 priority list item. But you need to take that mindset of continuously optimizing what you do and also being okay with the fact that this is probably going to be a journey without a finish line ultimately. And that's really what it's about. But keep that mindset, keep that culture around a growth mindset. And I think you will find success if you actually get started.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I actually think about the priorities of the chief marketing officer, the chief revenue officer, chief product officer, even the chief digital officer. They absolutely have to start with deeply understanding what their customers need and want. And I know this sounds like a bit of a cliche, but the truth is starting there and understanding how that need and want translates into business growth is just so critical. In fact, I actually think reflecting on how empathy, really understanding the position that your customers are in, can help deliver that. You translate that specific understanding then into a set of changes that you apply and then iterate over time. And this is why I'm so inspired by the partnership with you, Alex. The fact that Microsoft and Optimizely can come together to play a role in both understanding and then evolving and transforming is just, it's quite exciting.
And I'd like to build on that, quoting our Microsoft channel chief, Rodney Clark, who said it's no longer us leading our customers, it's our customers leading us. So as we start to wrap up, I'd like to ask one final fun question. What is an upcoming opportunity through the Microsoft Partner ecosystem, whether it's a solution, resource, or even Microsoft Inspire, that you're looking most forward to and that you want other partners to know about?
Jennifer, the Microsoft relationship for us is really multifaceted, very, very strategic in terms of how we think about Microsoft. And honestly, it touches everything from technology to our go-to-market to our marketing. I mean, all those different activities. We love the big events, the Inspire pieces, but we also love the technology progress. I mean, we have moved our solutions onto .NET Core, .NET 5, and now actually .NET 6 next. So we are investing heavily in optimizing our own platform to run really, really strongly on the Microsoft capabilities. What we have done, I think, together with the Azure team is very, very significant because if you think about it, website performance is super, super important for customers in terms of response time. That is the customer experience that you have online. If something takes too long to load, you're going to the next website. You know? So that ability to work with Microsoft technically on these topics is super exciting. And then on the go-to-market side, you know, we're doing call-a-thons, for instance, together with Microsoft together into accounts where we see opportunity. I'm excited for that. But really connecting the different motions that we have in the field together, that makes a huge difference. So there's a lot to be excited about, and I really want to say thank you to Casey and his entire team, because we are a much smaller company than Microsoft is, but he helps us to navigate and get to the right places. So we appreciate that.
Alex, it's our pleasure. And while I appreciate the comments, we also have the same degree of appreciation for the work that you're doing. Your proximity to customers is just so valuable for us. And so whether it's our connections at Inspire, whether it's through the co-sell and call-a-thons, these are all opportunities for us to scale, whether it's scale across your organization, across the Microsoft organization, or across our customers. All of this is just, it's a great opportunity for us to expand the impact. And so we, as I said before, deeply appreciate the partnership and are looking forward to the continued work.
Well, thank you both for joining me today, and for all of you tuning in to the Microsoft Partner Innovation Vodcast, I'm Jennifer Zarate.